Hello again. Ba, 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 da, ba, wa, wa. Just had a really fruitful conversation with somebody who was really helpful. As I'm not gonna go into the content of our conversation, but it was very, very helpful in a lot of ways. And I think this maps or my experience, the phenomenology of the conversation. I want to say something about. I'm currently reading Ian McGilchrist's book, The Master and His Emissary. And the philosophy in this book is phenomenology, and how the philosophy is based on the latest, or his 20 years long research into neuroscience and neuropsychology. Basically how our mind functions to make sense of the world and how the world shows up for us. And I want to talk about in relating this to Vervaeke's framework. I'm gonna try to map this, my current understanding. I just begun reading it, but I listened to some conversations that he had also with Vervaeke, John Vervaeke, from the series Awakening from the Meaning Crisis and After Socrates, and how currently I'm seeing from the experience I just had in this very, very helpful conversation was that in the degree that I can grasp the propositions that, or I'm gonna start at another point, in the degree that I can hold and see and feel into how the proposition suggested from the opponent and how I can use them in order to shape a coherent understanding of what's been suggested, to the degree that the propositions make sense to me and can be organized in a fashion that creates an aim towards, in the fashion of a direction, to the degree and how that shows up for me structurally is not it's a oscillation between the synthesis of these lines of propositions will create an aim or a trajectory towards whatever, towards something like a goal, like I'm aiming for something. And as long as there's a coherence in my aim on multiple levels, is not disembodied. The multiple levels is deeply important because it's deeper than my logical understanding of the propositions, but it's felt viscerally, so it becomes something that I can come back to in order to move towards this goal that I'm aiming for. So if I can have these kind of conversations more and more, I can cultivate a felt sense of what I'm aiming for in an embodied way. And that's the power of embodiment. And my proclivity to disregard propositional thinking or goal-oriented creations is just not doing me any favors of shaping my future and self-altering myself in a way and in a level that I want to aim for. So of course the notion that Rebecca is always talking about is participation, that there's a knowledge, there's one category of knowledge that's propositional, there's perspectival, there's a procedural knowing, and there's knowledge based on participation. And that's what I felt I was doing in this deeply helpful conversation, where I allowed when I attended to the felt sense in the conversation to, and also the creates whole with a W of the propositions, so I could check out if I got a proposition suggested proposition. This is really not maybe coherent, but mapping left and right brain hemispheres into these four kinds of knowing from Rebecca's framework just shines a tremendous light of how my tendency to deceive myself, and how Ian McGilchrist's work, 20 years long work on the hemispheres and the difference between them, is I feel like I'm it's emerging a whole new world through these two frameworks. Yeah, it's looks like, yeah, I can almost sense how this will unfold, and it will also take a long time to integrate and balance out my dominated, my right hemisphere dominated way of being. And it wouldn't have shown itself if it hadn't been for all this knowledge and all this listening and all these things I've been doing the last 4 or 5 years. So now I feel like it's kind of feels like a turning point, and I can almost feel myself turning when I'm standing here, like there's some turning that I can, like, I can sense a felt feeling of energy that is turning. It's interesting. Thank you for listening, and I hope there will be spring soon.